So welcome to this presentation. So today we're doing agriculture form 2, and we're doing this topic crop husbandry practices. To be specific, we're going to look at crop pests. So you are with me, Andrew Cobby. So let's look at crop pests. So normally crop pests are categorized into two. So we've got two categories of crop pests. We've got field pest as well as storage pest. So we're going to look at each and every category in details. So let's start by looking at field pests. So when talk of field pests, they attack either maize or groundnuts while growing in the field, and they include the following. So when talk of field pests, there are pests which attack either maize or groundnuts, or we can say they attack crops while they are still growing in the field. That's why they're called field pests. So these field pests, they include the following. So I've got insect pests such as aphids. Okay, then we've got rodents such as rats as well as moles. Then I've got birds such as weaver birds, and also mouse beds. Then we've got some mammals. So examples of these mammals, I've got apes, I've got monkeys, I've got antelopes, as well as buffaloes. So let's look at storage pests. So when talk of storage pests, these are pests which attack crops in their place of storage. So the most common or the common storage pests include weevils and rats. So these are the common storage pests. So this is just an example. I mean, it's a picture of maize weevil. So you can see there is a maize. So the maize there has been attacked by weevils. So those are the weevils. So let's look at major pests of groundnuts. So I've got pests in general, but to be specific now, we're going to look at major pests of groundnuts. So the first one, we've got red hairy caterpillar. So this hairy caterpillar, the larva of red hairy caterpillar, uh, uh, they are hair reddish brown with black bands on either heads or top abdomen. So that's how they look. Then they have long reddish brown hair all over their body. That's why they're known as red hairy caterpillar. So they have got long reddish brown hair all over their body. So what are some of the symptoms? Know that the crops, or I mean the groundnuts, have been attacked by red hairy caterpillars. So the first symptom is that these caterpillars cause loss of leaves of the crops. So there is loss of leaves of the crops. Then all the leaves are all the leaves are eaten away, leaving the main stem only. So these red hairy caterpillars, they eat all the leaves, and what remains is the stems only. So let's now look at how you can control these red hairy caterpillars. So the first one is by deep plowing. So when you do deep plowing during dry season, you expose the hairy caterpillars, talk of their eggs, to harsh weather condition. Talk of harsh weather conditions, sun, you are exposing the eggs as well as the red hairy caterpillars to sun. Therefore, that sun will kill the hairy caterpillars. And also, if you deep plow, you expose them. Therefore, some of the birds will be picking them. So that's one way of controlling red hairy caterpillar. Then I've got air sowing. So if you plant air, it's also one way of controlling red hairy caterpillars, because the plants will mature air, will become established air before these red hairy caterpillars they start attacking. Okay, then I've got intercropping. If you intercrop the crops, if you intercrop the crops with castor for every 5 rows of groundnuts, this also helps to control the red hairy caterpillars. Then I've got use of crop rotation. Crop rotation is also one way of controlling red hairy caterpillars, because these red hairy caterpillars are crop specific. So if you rotate with other crops, it means you are breaking the life cycle, because they will have nowhere to feed, therefore they will die. Then you are talking of use of trap crops, use of irrigation. So sometimes if you irrigate, you flood the field, you find that these red hair caterpillars will suffocate. Sometimes if you are using overhead irrigation, when you are irrigating, when water is coming from the above, these red hair caterpillars will be washed away from the leaves. So those are some of the ways of controlling red hair caterpillars. We have talked of trap crops. Though, these trap crops, these crops whereby if you plant in the field, those red hair caterpillars, those pests will be interested in those crops instead of focusing on groundnuts, they'll be focusing, or they'll pay more attention to those kind of crops. So those crops are known as trap crops. Then we've got field hygiene. It's also one way of controlling red hairy caterpillars. Talk of weeding, because some weeds they harbor or they keep these red hairy caterpillars. So field hygiene is also one way of controlling red hairy caterpillars. So the second one is groundnut leaf miner. So you can know groundnut leaf miner by looking at the following. So shiny white eggs are laid singly on the underside of the leaf. So underside of the leaves, you find that there are eggs which are shiny white. So the larva of the groundnut leaf miner is green with a dark head and prothorax. So it has got a dark head, and also the prothorax is dark. So what are some of the symptoms of groundnut leaf miner? So the following are the symptoms. So the first one is brown blotches on the leaflet. So we find that there are brown blotches or brown patches on the leaflet. Then the leaflet stuck or webbed together. So sometimes find that the leaves they are stuck, or they are webbed together. So just know that groundnuts that have been attacked by groundnut leaf miner. Then we have got severe attack field. They look bent from the distance. So if you are standing from a distance, and if the field has been attacked by groundnut leaf miner, so the field will look like it is bent. So those are some of the symptoms of groundnut leaf miner. So this is just a picture of how the groundnut leaf miner looks like. So you can see a dark head and prothorax. That's how it is. So let's look to control measures of groundnut leaf miner. So use of cowpeas or soybeans as trap crops. So what it means is these groundnut leaf miners will be interested or be focusing on these cowpeas as well as soybeans. So these crops are used as trap crops. Then we've got use of crop rotation. So crop rotation also helps to control groundnut leaf miner, because if you rotate, it means you are breaking the life cycle, as we said earlier. Then we've got field hygiene is also one way of controlling groundnut leaf miner. Then I've got matching with rice straw. It causes reduction in leaf miner attacks. So you match the crops. You match the field with the rice straws. This one also reduced the leaf miner attack. So the mulch just acts like physical barrier so that this groundnut leaf miner cannot access the groundnut, so it reduces the attack. Then I've got intercropping. Then I've got chemical control with appropriate insecticides. So these are some of the control measures of groundnut leaf miner. Then we've got another pest, which is ground pod borer. Ground pod borer is also it's also a pest of groundnuts. Then we've got these characteristics for you to know that the field has been attacked by ground pod borer. So eggs are spherical in shape and creamy white in color. So the eggs of ground pod borer are spherical in shape and creamy white in color. So the color of the larva could be between green and brown. So it has a dark brown gray lines on the body with lateral lines which are white. So that's ground pod borer. So let's look at the symptoms of ground pod borer. So the first one is the larva feed on flowers and buds. So the larva of ground pod borer, they feed on flowers as well as the buds. Then I've got symmetrical holes or cutting on the leaflet. So there are holes which are symmetrical or almost they look the same on the leaflet. On the leaflet. So those are some of the symptoms. So how can we control the ground pod borer? So the first control is deep plowing during dry season. So deep plowing will expose these ground pod borers, the eggs as well as the larva, to the harsh weather conditions, the sun. Therefore, they will be killed by the sun. Then I've got intercropping with other crops. So if you intercrop, it means also you are controlling this ground pod borer. Then the use of chemicals, the appropriate insecticides, also help to control the ground pod borer. So that's a picture of ground pod borer. So you can see they make a hole in the pod of the groundnuts, and they are so destructive. So this is a picture just for you to appreciate how this ground pod borer looks like. So let's now look at groundnut aphids. So we're going to look at symptoms for you to know that the field has been attacked by groundnut aphids. So the first one is wilting of the tender shoots during hot weather. So during hot weather, you find that the tender shoots, the small shoots, they wilt. Then talk of stunting and distortion of the foliage and stems. So there's stunting, poor growth. They not grow tall. That's stunting, and also distortion of the foliage as well as stems. Then they excrete honeydew on which soot mold form. They form a black coating. So there's honeydew, and on that honeydew, soot mold form a black coating. Then they act as vector for groundnut rosette virus. So there's this disease, groundnut rosette virus. So these groundnut aphids, they act as vectors, or they transmit the rosette virus disease. Then let's look at the control measures. How can we control groundnut aphids? So the first one is timely sowing. So if you sow early, you sow in time, it's one way of controlling groundnut aphids. Then we've got hand picking and destruction. So you go in the field, you pick them and you destroy them. So hand picking and destruction, another way. Then use of appropriate chemicals or insecticides. So those are some of the ways of controlling groundnut aphids. Then let's look at another pest which is jassids. So these are pest of groundnuts. So adults of these jassids, they have got elongated wedge-shaped body, then active and green in color. So they have got elongated wedge, wedge-shaped body. Then the active, they are green in color. So let's look at the symptoms. So whitening of veins and chlorotic patches. So there is whitening of veins and also chlorotic of patches. So you find that the veins, they turn white and there's chlorotic patches. And we've got every attack crop appear yellow and scorched. So if the crops, the groundnuts, they are heavily attacked, they appear yellow and also scorched, like they are bent. So let's look at the control measures. So the first one is timeless sowing. So you have to sow the crops in time, so that when they start attack, the crops have already been established, they're already matured. Then use of crop rotation. No crop rotation, it breaks the life cycle uh, of the crops, because you plant this crop this year, you change, you plant another crop next year, so you are breaking the life cycle of this pest. Then talk of intercropping with millet. Yeah, so if you intercrop the groundnuts with millet, is also another way of controlling this justice. Then I've got use of irrigation. So if you are using irrigation, it's also one way of controlling these pests. So irrigation, if you flood the field, you find that you are suffocating them. And also if you are using overhead irrigation, it means you are washing them away from the rays. Then I've got control with the chemicals, with the appropriate insecticides. So chemicals also can be used to control these pests. So let's now look at thrips. Thrips is also, they're also pests of groundnuts. So these thrips are small, slender, and yellow-black colored insects. So they have piercing and sucking mouth. So they pierce and they suck the juice of the crops. So these are some of the characteristics. Then let's look at the symptoms. How can you know that the field has been attacked by them? Thrips. So the first one is tender leaves show yellowish green patches on the upper surface and brown necrotic areas and silver sheen on the lower surface. Then we have got stunted growth. So there will be stunted growth in plants, whereby plants will not grow normally, they will not grow tall. So that's stunted growth. Then we have got termites. So termites is another example of pest of groundnuts. So these termites, they have got these symptoms. So the first one is wilting of plants on the patches. Wilting of plants on the patches. That's the first one. Then we have got termites. They penetrate and harrow pit the tap root and stem, that's killing the plant. So they harrow pit the tap root, or they make a hole in that tap root. And if they make a hole in that tap root, it means they'll kill the plant, because the roots will not be working. Therefore, the plant will die. So termites also, they bore hole, or they make a hole in the pot and damage the seed. This weaken the shell, making them making them liable to entry and growth of fungus that produce aflatoxin. So they make hole in the shell. Therefore, it is easy for the entry of fungus that produce aflatoxin. So this is a picture of termites. So this is a picture for you to appreciate how the termites look like. So that's those are the termites. That's so destructive. So let's look at control measures of termites. So the first one is you have to destroy the termite colony. So when talk of a colony, just a group of termites. So just destroy the group of termites or the colony. Then there is use well decomposed manure. So if you are using manure, you need to use the well decomposed manure. So if you are not using well decomposed manure, it means we're encouraging the termites. So make sure that you are using well decomposed manure. Then talk of time harvesting. So you have to harvest in time, because if you don't harvest in time, you find that the termites will destroy the crops. So make sure that you harvest in time. Then talk of chemical control with insecticides. So chemical control also is very important in controlling the termites. Then irrigate frequently. So use of irrigation also controls the termites, because if the field uh, um, is having enough moisture, there is water, the termites cannot work, they'll suffocate and they'll die. And then talk of seed treatment is also one way of controlling the termites. Because if you talk of seed treatment, it means those seeds now will be treated with chemicals. So the termites will not be able to attack the seeds, the seeds that have been treated. Then let's look at white grubs. So white grubs is also another example of pest of groundnuts. So let's look at the symptoms of white grubs. So the first one is these white grubs, they feed on roots and damage the pods. So they feed on the roots and also they damage the pods of the groundnuts. Then grubs also they feed on roots hair, resulting in pale wilted plants drying in patches. So they feed on the root hair. You know the roots, there is taproot and there are roots hair. So these white grubs they feed on the root hair, resulting in pale wilted plants drying in patches. Then let's look at how we can control the white grubs. So the first one is deep plowing in dry season. So you have to deep plow, exposing them to sun so that they die. So deep plowing. Then I've got the use of well decomposed organic fertilizer. So if you are using manure, they should be well decomposed. If they are not well decomposed, it means you are attracting the white grubs. So make sure that you use well decomposed um, organic fertilizers. Then talk of early planting so that the crops should come well established before these white grubs start attacking. Then talk of chemical control with insecticides. So chemicals also they can be used to control these white grubs. Then talk of seed treatment. Because seed treatment, it means the seeds have been treated with chemicals. Therefore, it's very easy to control the white grubs. So let's look at pod borer. So pod borer is another example of groundnut pest. So the first symptom of pod borer is young pods. The young pods they show holes with excreta inside. So you can see the pods, they have got holes and there's excreta of these pod borer inside the pods. The pods without seeds, so you find that the pods there are no seeds inside. Therefore, just know that pod borer. The groundnuts have been attacked by pod borer. Then let's look at the control measures. Then we've got chemical control with insecticides. So you can use chemicals to control pod borer. Then talk of soil sterilization. Then soil sterilization is also one way of controlling pod borer. So let's look now at major pest of maize. We're done with major pest of groundnuts, and now let's go to major pest of maize. So the first one is maize stalk borer. So when we talk of maize stalk borer, the larvae of moths which are dark green in color. So the larva is dark green in color. That's how we can know that this is the maize stalk borer. So let's look at the symptoms of maize stalk borer. So they feed on aerial parts of maize. So the erect part of maize, they are fed by these maize stalk borers. Then the attack results into death of the central growing points of the crop. So the central growing points of crop, they will, they will die because these maize stalk borer, they attack the central growing points of the crop. Then the affected leaves and stems have characteristic window or holes. So the affected leaves, you find that there are holes on the affected leaves. Then they move through stems, tunneling them, resulting in weakened stem, which later fall. So they make holes moving in the stems. Then you find that after making the holes, the stem will become weak. Then later the stem will fall. Okay, so let's now look at the control measures. So the first one is you have to remove and destroy all crop residues. So remove the crop residues and destroy them. One way of controlling them. Then we've got practice area planting. Area planting is also one way of control measures. Then talk of practice cross season over at least 2 seasons. So talk of cross season. This is when just leave the land without planting anything. Leave the land without planting anything. That one is known as the cross season. So for at least 2 seasons without planting anything, it means that's one way of controlling them. Then talk of practice crop rotation. This is coming in each and every control measures. So crop rotation is also one way of controlling these pests. Then let's look at pink stalk borer. Pink stalk borer they've got the following symptoms. So the larvae, they make hole in the stem of the maize plant, then weakening the plant. So they make hole and also weaken the plant. So area attack result in destruction of the plant central shoots. So the area attack, they result into destruction of the plant central shoot. So the central shoot will be destroyed when these pink stalk borer they attack area. Then let's look at the control measures. Field hygiene. So you have to practice field hygiene. Then talk of use of recommended chemicals. So there are chemicals which are recommended. Use those chemicals to control pink stalk borer. Then talk of destruction of planted alternate host crops. Destruction of planted alternate host crops. So the other host crops, the other crops, they harbor these pink stalk borer. So you have to destroy those crops. So it means you are controlling pink stalk. So let's look at this one. Another pest which is maize aphid or plant lice. So maize aphid or plant lice, they are soft, dark green insects which feed in cluster. They feed in a group, okay, and are found in fluorescent, especially when there is water shortage in the soil. So when there is water shortage in the soil, you find that there will be maize aphids or plant lice. Okay, so let's look at the damage which they cause. You find that they suck sap or they suck juice from the green husk of cobs and leaves. So they suck juice from the green husk of cobs as well as leaves. Then they attack leaves and husk. They attack leaves and husks. They appear black in color. So the leaves as well the husks which have been attacked, they appear black in color. So let's look at the control measures. How can we control the maize aphids or plant lice? So the first one is early planting. So if you plant early, the crops become established before they attack. Okay, or they mature early before they attack. Okay, then you talk of spray with the recommended chemicals or spray with the recommended insecticides. Then let's look at maize webworm as another example of maize pest. So the larvae of maize webworm are long and dark brown in color. So they are long as well as dark brown in color. They form silken web on the cob. So they form a web which is silken on that on the cobs. I mean, so symptoms or the damage which they cause as follows. So the first one, find that the larva they first feed on the leaves, okay, preceding flowers, remove the chlorophyll, and later on the milky glands. So they feed on the leaves. Then after the leaves, they go to the flowers, removing the chlorophyll, the green part is removed, and later the milky glands. Then they form webs around the maize cob and flowers. So there are webs formed there around the maize cobs as well as the flowers. So how can we control the maize or webworm? The first one is you have to spray recommended chemicals or the insecticides. So that's how we control maize webworm. Then let's look at armyworm. So these armyworms, they feed on crop leaves. They move in large swarms and eat up all the vegetation during their invasion. That's why they are known as armyworms. They move in large swarms and they eat up all the vegetation during their invasion. So they are very, very destructive. So let's look at the control measures. So we have to use the recommended chemicals or insecticides in controlling them. So this is just a picture of armyworm. So that's how armyworm looks like. Yeah, so let's now look at weavers. So these weavers, the adult have got long curved snouts which they use to bore into the gland. So they bore into gland or they make holes into the gland. So they use those long curved snouts. So damage is caused by their larva as well as their adults. So the damage is caused by the larva as well as the adults. So how can you control the weevils? One, we have got timely harvesting. So if you harvest timely, it means you are controlling the weevils. Because if you delay in harvesting, the weevils will attack. Then we've got use of recommended chemicals or insecticides is also one way of controlling these weevils. So let's now look at the last one, which is which are rats. So rats, these are rodents, and these rodents they have got sharp and very strong teeth, which are capable of gnawing, breaking, as well as chewing the glands. Okay, so that means they have got very strong teeth, and these teeth they can chew and they can even break the glands. Okay, so they are very destructive in store. I mean, when you have stored your maize, these rats they are so destructive. So how can we control these rats? So the first control is by using the recommended chemicals. So there are recommended chemicals which are used to control the rats. So use those chemicals, then you are able to control the rats. Then you have got biological control through the use of cats. So if you know, if you know that there are rats in storage places and you can just introduce the cats, that one is biological control. Then use of traps. So you can make the traps to control the rats. So that's all we had. I mean, that's all I had in this presentation. If you've got any question, that's our WhatsApp number and that's our email. Thank you so much. See you in my next video. Bye.